Now we take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. The federal government yesterday reacted to the alleged seizure of 3 presidential planes in Paris, France, following a dispute between a private Chinese firm and the Ogun State government, saying those aircraft are sovereign assets and therefore immune from confiscation. Citing extant principles of international law, the government acknowledged that the actions of a subnational or local entity were attributable to the state or country itself. However, the Nigerian government said it had commenced both legal and diplomatic moves to recover the 3 aircraft in the presidential fleet. At the same time, Ogun State government faulted the judicial process that led to the provisional attachment of the aircraft and said it had begun steps to vacate the order. Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 poll, Peter Obi, described the reported seizure of 3 presidential jets as international embarrassment and demanded full explanation. The Chinese company Zhongshan Fengsheng Industrial Investment Company Limited was seeking to enforce a final award granted in its favor on March 26, 2021 against one of Nigeria's subnationals, Ogun State. All right, so it's Ogun State against the Chinese company, but of course, the federal government has been dragged into this. And now, unfortunately, 3 presidential jets are being held ransom. Rufai, your take on the story?
So at first, I received this with shock, and it's embarrassing, like Peter Obi says, because were the jets that we complained about them not buying, were they part of these jets?
Well, it's believed so because one of the jets is the new one that's gotten for over $100 million.
So at first, you see how God reveals the secret of people when you try to hide things away. We complained that it's not good to buy those jets at this time. The Senate went ahead and said, don't worry, we'll give you the backing. I'm not sure if the supplementary budget has been passed, but the jet has been bought. All of a sudden, I remember when the Showore released the videos then of those jets. Now, finally, we have confirmed because the jet was arrested. Secondly, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. I've said that over 1 million times. For every time I've said that here, if you also count, I should be a billionaire by now. And that's what happens to Nigeria. So this is not the first time. I'll take you back to the 70s. Nigeria made a lot of money. Something happened called the Cement Armada. We wanted cement for development. But most of those cements were backed up in the ports. They couldn't clear them, demurrage set in. And then we started to cancel some of the contracts we had with international partners. From the 70s, late 70s, Nigeria settled this judgment debt and court cases till the early 80s, 82, 83. In fact, there were many case laws by Lord Denning that had to do with Nigeria on the Cement Armada. Nigeria was a laughingstock internationally. A couple of years ago, we had PNID. Today, we had this. What were the terms of contracts the Ogun State government agreed with them? How do we handle our contracts? Where are the other cases? And I think my very good friend and brother, Lateef Fagbemi, should please help us check through the other pending cases like this to save us all this national embarrassment. We can say, oh, they have no right. Yes, we have a right of appeal against the Chinese, but it will not stop us from the embarrassment already. The embarrassment has already happened. It's already another black spot. So I'd like to charge the Attorney General of the Federation to help us check through so we even know what we're dealing with. We've dealt with Mambila, we've dealt with PNID, and let's even know these arbitration cases that have been ruled against Nigeria. And let's see how we can start to quash all of them. Malami started that work after the PNID case, before we saw the PNID to a reasonable conclusion. So let's see what we can do as regards that. But Nigerians will always default. Nigerians will always have challenges like this. In the PNI case, Eddie, we're exonerated because of corruption. But we'll always have things like this repeat itself because culture will always be strategy for breakfast. As it was in the 80s, so it is today. So what has changed?
All right, what has changed? Vimbai, your take on the story?
Well, you know, there's so many moving pieces in this story. I had to read so many different angles to try and really understand what could have transpired. Now, one thing that did stick out to me was that this Chinese firm was brought in by Ogun State under a certain governor, that's Benga Daniel. Now, that's when the deal was signed to develop a free trading zone. Now, what happened when he left? While he was in office, this company set up a Nigerian entity that was said to be appointed to manage that free trade zone. Now, when the governors changed, new governor came in and Governor Amosun assumed governancy of Ogun State. He is alleged to have tried to remove the appointed management company, which was the Nigerian entity of this Chinese firm, to install his own preferred company there. Those are the allegations by the Chinese firm. However, it went to arbitration and they won the award. Now, when they tried to enforce the 70 million award, they were granted the award, the arbitration award. Nigeria tried to appeal this in January of 2022, to which Judge Sarah Cockerhill of a high court in the UK said the country had abused the time frame for appealing the arbitration award, so it had to be enforced. So Nigeria then went to the US. Now, at the US District Court for the District of Columbia also ruled that the arbitration is enforceable. Now, I'll just read this very quickly. It's in the majority judgment. The US Appellate Court held that the final arbitration award is enforceable under the New York Convention, since the dispute is between persons that shared a legal commercial relationship. So the court ruled that the Foreign Sovereign Immunities Act arbitration exception stripped Nigeria of the sovereign immunity in the arbitration award case. And of course, once this ruling was delivered, just a few days later in France,